Good morning, my brothers and sisters of Korea. My name is Abhishek Narula. I'm the CTO for FortiSOAR business at Fortinet. I'm here today to help you understand the landscape of cybersecurity operations, how it came from the earlier days of merely securing a network to today having advanced security operations. I'm incredibly proud to be here today and honored in front of you. Thank you so much for having me here today. Without further ado, let's mirror doyak. My aim today is to get you started with understanding of autonomous security, where the future is headed. Let's first look at some of the things which a CISO would look like. He would want to see how my security operations are working day to day. Then we'll dive into some of the key industry trends. What is our industry demanding right now? Where are we headed towards the future? At that, we'll see what is the Fortinet security operations portfolio, how we today are helping you, and what are the steps we are taking towards the future. At last, I'm going to leave you with some of the information on how to get started with or take some first steps towards your autonomous security. Let's start with imagining an ideal security operations. If you are given this task to set up your own security operations, where will you start? All the way from securing your endpoints, servers, network, assets in the cloud, their vulnerability management, as well as all compliances. These slides are automatic moving, please. So how would we do that? Let's take a look at some of these challenges that we face today. Just imagine the number of tools you deal with today. A study indicated there are, on an average, 16 different products that you deal with every now and then in your security operations. To name a few, you have your SIM products, you have your EDR product, your asset management, IAM, vulnerability management, and whatnot. I did a quick chat with ChatGPT, our common subject now, our famous subject these days. It gave me a list of 30 most common tools, and I can relate to almost all of them. Just imagine this. Logging into 16 different consoles. Your Active Directory, log in, find out some information. Your SIM, log in, find out some information. Just doing this 16 number of times, that itself is a daunting task, let alone finding all the alerts and doing all the due diligence to respond to them in an absolute diligent manner. And that is the product complexity we are dealing with. That's the study which is indicating. Can you just disconnect this, please? That's the study which is indicating that how these multiple products are creating so much complexities in our lives. Another information we got from some of the studies here is that analysts are emotionally distressed. The amount of alerts they have to triage is just overwhelming, and they're leaving their jobs. We are already facing difficulty to hire new talent, let alone backfilling the attrition that we are facing now. So scarcity is a real problem today. So how would a CISO of an organization want to see his security operations? That's an ideal picture. We say always, picture says 1,000 words. Let's try to paint one here on behalf of a security information officer. On the bottom left corner, you see top 3 detections. This is the number of alerts that are coming in my organization from various devices that I'm connected to. Could be your EDR, could be your SIM, could be even user reported. Then I move into the triage pipeline, which is automated. It is, by default, investigating and triaging a lot of those alerts and dropping them either as false positive or as true positive. A large amount of them are done automatically, and we have some numbers there as well. A few of them, which are categorized as ransomwares, malwares, breaches, those incidents will be then left for analysts to respond, and their impact, the number of assets we are dealing with, the kind of artifacts we are dealing with, is also categorized and shown here. There are some profound metrics here. To start with, one of my favorites, the ratio of alert to incident. Think of this as your ability to look at the cases, not alerts. Threats, not alerts. That's what is alert to incident ratio. Then there are various other ratios telling you about your operational efficiency. How many alerts you're responding to, how many incidents you're responding to, how many automations are running to help you with that, and what's the kind of return of investment in your environment given by automation. One of the most important metrics for any CISO is mean time to respond or mean time to remediate. These kind of metrics are very important for any CISO. So if that's how an ideal picture looks like, let's see how to get there and what do we need to be there. Some of the most prominent industry trends which are helping us get there are convergence. Our madam from IDC, Peter Cho, and Spencer, all of them echoed the same concept: convergence, products and processes converging into single platform. That's what we need today in order to simplify response. Building such a security operations which has AI and ML running is a daunting task. It requires a lot of skills, a lot of people to set the processes right and to get those tools functional. That is where security as a service or SOC as a service becomes a natural choice for you to adopt and embrace. So we will be seeing the three trends today, starting with convergence. Industry is demanding that. I mentioned about 16 different tools, and we're going to show some of our portfolio as well. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to go through all those tools and respond to those things in a consistent manner. These slides are changing automatically. Please somehow fix that. So I often ask this question to myself: whether you want to deal with single pane of glass or multiple painful glasses. And that's exactly what we are facing today, unfortunately. The latter is more closer to the reality. Therefore, industry is demanding to have a unified, cohesive platform that improves your visibility and correlation, enhances detection capabilities, streamlines and accelerates response, simplifies management, and optimize my cost. That's the demand which industry is taking. On the other hand, one has to build this kind of a security operation in-house is not an easy task. Just imagine the efforts involved in identifying right tools to having talent that can set up and use them right. SOC as a service, built and managed by the providers, brings us some of the following advantage. It is cost effective. You get the flexibility to scale when you need. Expert help is available whenever you need. And continuous monitoring and updates and upgrades, that's not your problem anymore. On the other hand, the invention of LLM, large language models, the technology behind ChatGPT, this has opened altogether new doors for us and more natural ways of working. Imagine this for a moment. Scraping of dark web data, which is in a cryptic language or in a regional language, that becomes a very easy job now for machine learning to put it together and give you a prediction saying what is the intention here. Software user interfaces can now be conversational. Instead of you clicking, you will just say, hey, Siri, give me the topmost alerts today. Hey, Alexa, give me the top 3 detections today. And so on and so forth. Detections of phishing email, one of the most adversarial important technique which is causing us a lot of heartburns today. There are so many software products just to combat phishing emails. That becomes so easy. Imagine in your Outlook, You'll have an automatic reader which will immediately flag saying, hey man, this mail is not good. Please do not click any button, and I'm submitting it to my security operations. Correlating diverse data points becomes so easy now. That's the kind of advantages we are looking at from generative AI LLM. But be caution, be aware. This is not only hunky-dory. This is not only a good thing. LLMs and large language and generative AI will also cause a lot of adversarial effects, which is what industry is preparing towards. So tread with safety. Here are some industry analyst recommendations from our peers at ESG and Gartner. They are underscoring the same difficulty that we just talked about, saying how managing complexity of a constantly evolving landscape of threat landscape is becoming more and more complex. Gartner is emphasizing need for automation. We just heard about that from our friends at IDC. Automation is so important. It is actually becoming now vital. It's no more a luxury that you should or should not. It is absolutely vital to have it. So what do we have from Fortinet security operations portfolio? All the way from prevention to detection to response, we give you the entire portfolio. Let's take a look at it into a little more details. Typical security operations are divided into three parts: prevention, detection, and response. Starting from prevention, our FortiEDR offering, our unified endpoint detection and response platform, gives us that flexibility and prevention right there on every endpoint. Leading all the other elements to the detection, where we have our FortiAnalyzer, our own Fabric security analytics platform, our FortiSIEM, which is our SIEM and UEBA platform, FortiNDR, which is continuously monitoring your network and detecting any anomalous activity, FortiSIEM, our own SIEM and UEBA platform, FortiRecon, one of our latest offerings, which gives you a perspective of an external adversary. What is hacker's point of view towards your organization? What does hacker see for your organization? Allowing you to manage the external attack surface. On the other hand, we have, our FortiDeceptor, which sits inside the organization and is looking at anyone who's sniffing around or who's looking into your assets or trying to gain access into your environment. With that kind of a portfolio, powered by artificial intelligence and guarded by our FortiGuard threat intelligence, we then feed everything as actionable into our FortiSOAR platform, which is our prominent automation platform for cybersecurity. It integrates with likes of FortiSandbox, vulnerability management solutions, asset management solutions, and gives you a unified console to look at things in a consistent and a comprehensive picture. This is where we also engage automation to respond much faster than what typically human would do, and even more importantly, consistently responding. We cannot afford to have a new analyst come in and change the process and procedures. And just go back to, don't change my slides, please. We cannot have our analysts just doing these things on a regular basis saying, hey, I'm gone, a new person comes in, and they will employ new processes and procedures, leaving behind the earlier set processes. That is where FortiSOAR makes sure that you have a playbook for your response and that is executed consistently, whether automatic or a sequence of manual as well. So here is what you should expect when you engage into automation or FortiSOAR or likes of SOAR platforms. The kind of value you would see is threefold. You should see decreased mean time to detect, decreased mean time to respond, and substantially lower impact of breaches. All right, without further ado, let's see how we can get into future and what is the first step we can take towards our automation journey. This is assuming that you have your security operations already running, detecting a large amount of threats. Now let's take the first step towards streamlining your operations and also augmenting with piece of automation that will accelerate your journey. Gartner defined security operations SOAR product offerings as function of 3 elements. Security IR platforms. Let's think of it as a specialized case management for cybersecurity, which allows working on alerts as well as incident and cases. Remember, alerts and incidents are not the same thing. This is very important to understand that multiple alerts will form a case, which is what analysts wants to look at. Orchestration and automation, the second pillar, this is about your ability to create a process, also known as playbook, use automation wherever required in the playbook, as well as the manual steps for analysts to respond to. The key here is consistency, streamlining. Every time something happens, the process will respond in the same manner, with certain steps automated and certain steps manual assigned to the analyst. This is further complemented by third pillar, which is around threat intelligence. Now, this is where we take all the feeds from different sources and normalize them. We have our own threat intelligence, which I mentioned before, FortiGuard, and we also ingest feeds from other premium providers, as well as open source intelligence, put them together into a single story, allow you to run the playbooks on that as well. Basically, proactively responding to threats which has been detected by our FortiGuard threat intelligence and other threat intel providers. So, to start with, let's look at the same picture again, which we just saw before. This was not a simple visual that we created for the purpose of this discussion. This is actual product screenshot embedded into our FortiSOAR, which gives you a full perspective of your security operations, all the way of what is coming inside your security operations as detections, and then triaging towards your, moving towards your automated pipelines of triage and investigations. Excuse me. Also, I would want your attention on the left-hand side, which gives you a perspective on various other modules that we have. This includes our threat intel, our vulnerability management, asset management. So you get much more than the traditional definition of security orchestration. And that's the beauty of it, the value for money. Moving on, let's see the other elements of our product portfolio. This is a case which is presented to the analyst saying, hey, you have about 8 or 9 different alerts which were actually part of a single campaign. This campaign was put together automatically with the help of FortiSOAR, and it created a single incident saying there's a breach which has happened. The case is presented to you in a NIST prescribed format, which allows you to look at all the phases and their SLAs as well. I've heard this problem many times stating that my response SLAs are breached because of dependency on somebody else. How do you attribute that? Because you have a dependency, let's say on IT. Security operations has to call IT saying, hey, here is the endpoint, please contain it. How do you even quantify that? This kind of a streamlined security operations gives you that interface where every possible move is accounted for, every time is captured, and then it allows you to look at all those metrics and submit data saying, hey, this is not my fault. Let's also look at our threat intel management in more details, where we are ingesting feeds from a variety of sources and moving forward to a playbook. This is a visual flowchart which describes a process saying when I have a brute force activity, what do I do? How should I respond to it? So this is a visual flow, a step-by-step process taken, And this is exactly how you design it as well. You drag drop and put your pieces or process together and say, this is my flow, including automation as well as your manual steps done by the analyst. Can somebody please fix this? This is just automatically moving the slides. Please do not do that. All right, moving on. We have integrations with the who's and who's of the industry, all the way from our basic integrations with Active Directory, cloud providers, as well as various other tools in the industry. All this information is publicly accessible on our Content Hub. I invite you to go to our Content Hub and look at it in more details. There's a technical snag here, I think. Yeah, okay. You're back. Perfect. So, for our brothers and sisters of MSSPs, I have a special offering from FortiSOAR for you, which gives you a perspective of how to deal with different types of customers. This is where you have your portfolio of fully managed, the green field of customers which do not have the SIM and SOAR, to moving on customers who have SIM but no SOAR, as well as how to deal with customers which have SIM and SOAR both, and yet you are able to provide your augmentation services. Feel free to reach us out in more details to discuss this offering. We are available outside at several booths, and I will be happy to discuss in more details. A brief, quick look at our portfolio. This is where we have customers globally across the industry, across the different sectors, and not just small and medium and large. Some of the largest names of the industry are relying on our technology today to improve their security operations. To name a few, some of the biggest oil and gas organizations in Saudi, in Thailand, some of the biggest, largest healthcare institutions in America, ITES providers, MSSPs, and of course, telecom as well. Finally, I leave you with some key takeaways. Leverage Fortinet operations for augmented security operations. This is where we give you the entire portfolio from prevention to detection to response. We also give you SOC as a service offering, which you can start using immediately. And for all the partners in the room here today, you are also going to have a very good journey with Fortinet, enjoying and engaging with our SIM and SOAR offerings with continuous business avenues. With that, I thank you for your time today, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.